Everyone, welcome to the next lesson talking about building a team. This is definitely going to be a great lesson where I think you're going to learn a lot of fantastic information. And as an intro to get started with this, I want to talk about just kind of the idea of having a team, because this could look a few different ways, right? A lot of this is based on your goal and what you want and what you're trying to grow into. Some people are very in love with the idea of being a solopreneur, right? Where you are running and managing a business, you're outsourcing as much as you can, you're traveling the world, and you're living a life based on experience, right? And some people are in love with the idea of building a large organization or having some type of corporate structure where they show up every day to an office and they keep regular hours and they have regular employees, and they basically live there and they operate there out of their office. Neither one is right or wrong, right? It's all complete personal preference of what you want to do. Both of them can be scaled to a large amount. Now, I've been on both sides of this mix, okay? And I personally enjoy the solopreneur lifestyle a lot more. All right. I actually, let me clarify. I've never built like a major corporation or anything like that, but I've built a team up to about 60 people, where we were managing the photo booth company that I talked about. We were managing teams across about 10 different cities with, like 5 people in each city that were independent contractors, and then a team of, anywhere from 5 to 10 people that were our office people that were managing customer service, somebody that we had for finance, somebody that we had for sales, somebody that we had for graphic design, right? So I built a team into that, and I know what it's like to have to manage all these different parts of different departments basically, and keeping on top of that. I personally didn't like that. It got to be very corporate, right? It got to be like, okay, we have to have calls every Monday morning, and you're constrained to a schedule. And I this is me talking with a little bit of bias, of course, because there's also great things to that type of lifestyle as well. If you continue to scale that, you can rent out a really nice office space where you're constantly able to come in and create content and have a nice office with a desk, and see employees and create a great company culture. And there's all, like there's a lot of good things that can come along with that too, if that's what you like and that's what you're looking for. But it's definitely higher stress levels, in my opinion, right? It's higher stress levels, there's more to manage, there's more going on, and it's going to require more of your time and attention and focus just on managing your team, right? Now, the other side of it is the solopreneur, and this doesn't mean that you don't need to have a team. You're always going to need support to be able to operate past a certain level, right? But you're still it's less, right? You're going to be basically dividing out tasks and outsourcing them, and you're not constrained to any hours. You're not really trying to create a company culture, right? You're basically living your life. You're doing whatever you want. For me, that looks like right now traveling the world, speaking at events. I'm partnered in with a lot of major companies, right? And so I see that side of the world too. I know how it works, and it's just a matter of what you want, okay? So that's a personal decision, but I'm going to give you both sides of it here, and really most importantly, I'm going to give you the fundamentals of what you need to operate a team, how that looks, and how you delegate tasks, and also how you create leadership, right? Because my leadership background comes from being in the Army, the United States Army, and serving a year in Iraq. As a veteran, I was a sergeant there, and so I was trained in some of the nation's absolute best discipline and leadership training that exists today. Okay, and I'm very proud of that, right? I don't say that cocky. I say that because I'm proud of it, and I learned a lot in that training about how to be a leader and what it means to be a leader, and that translates very well to the business world. Okay, to the corporate world, to the solopreneur world, whatever world you're in. If you're trying to run and operate a business, and you have people that are working for you and that you're leading, right? Like you're managing that. Okay, and for me, honestly, that's why, I love the solopreneur life, but for me, Ecom Empires is like my team in a way, right? I have so many partners and so many things going on within Ecom Empires and so many people that there's a lot of responsibility there on me. And so there's a lot that I've learned, and I want to put that all into here. And again, I want to put this in context of saying that by no means am I trying to act like my team is bigger than it is at this point, right? Like teams are going to operate different and you'll see that teams are going to operate different if you start to get to a certain level. And for me, where I've been able to create a lot of leverage is through partnerships, right? So if you actually look at the things that I'm involved in, the companies that I'm involved in and partnered in, my team is actually massive, okay? But what am I personally overseeing every single day is going to be what I like to keep within my focus in my lane for the branding and the strategy and the vision and the basic operations that I like to manage and control, right? And I let my partners manage and control all the other operations within the organizations that I'm partnered with, okay? So getting started, team operations, all right, that's how I like to call it. Team operations is about segmenting your business into specific tasks and training a team to execute those tasks efficiently without you, all right? The best way that a team functions is without you. All right, you want to be in charge, you want to be the leader, and well, it's not about being in charge, it's about leading, right? Because teams need a leader. That's always going to be true. There always needs to be a leader. Without a leader, things tend to fall into chaos and nothing gets done, right? And this is your business, okay? So nobody's going to care about your business as much as you do. You have to be the leader because your team, it's foolish to think that any amount of money or incentive that you give your team is going to make them care as much as you care, right? It might make them care more, and there are certain things that you can do to create a culture and make people really want to work hard for you, but they're never going to care as much as you do about the business that you created, and because that's your vision, that's your future, what you're trying to do. Their vision and their future might look completely different to them, okay? So your team is only going to be as good as you as a leader. All right, building and running a team is about leadership, even at the solopreneur level, right? Because if you can't be a leader of your own operations and what you're outsourcing, then you're never going to make it very far past a certain point, right? So if your goal is to be able to scale and have consistency and sustain something at a high level, then you need to understand how to segment your business and how to be an effective leader. Break your business into compartments, okay? So this is how it breaks down for a Shopify store at a basic level, all right? I'm not like, we're not trying to talk about here a Shopify store at a level of like, $50 million a year. I'm creating this education for people that are looking to get to the 6 and 7 figure level, okay? And this is basically what your business is going to break down into these compartments. You have the store structure and content. All right, this is going to include number one, building the store, and then two, ongoing operations to keep the store updated during different promotions, new products that are being added. If you have a blog, updating site layout, right? So store structure and content. Then there's market and product research, okay? Importing products and descriptions, media buying, which is Facebook ads, but it can be any media. Media buying is your advertising, okay? So Facebook ads, Google ads, Instagram ads, all these things would fall under the media buying category. Social media management, graphics and videos, order fulfillment, customer service. Now, the ones that are in bold are the ones that are easiest to outsource and should be the first to go, okay? Customer service, order fulfillment. When I say order fulfillment, I mean, yeah, that can kind of go with customer service, but depending on the volume of orders you're doing, you might have somebody who's specifically monitoring like customer service emails that are coming in, and you might have somebody that's specifically monitoring your inventory and your new products coming in, new products going out, that kind of thing. So these are the ones that can go the quickest though. And the reason they can go the quickest is because they don't really require any critical decision making. Okay. It's just a process that you have to teach them. Once you teach them the process, then it's the same every single time, right? We talked about customer service in the last video, which included social media management. And all you have to do to teach somebody this is you have to decide how you want it handled in your business. You have to go through the motions of actually handling it and being part of it yourself in the beginning, and then bringing somebody in and teaching them to do it exactly how you did it. Now, yes, it's true that you could probably put somebody through to watch some of these videos and they would have a decent understanding of it. I personally believe one of the strongest leadership qualities is leading from the front, okay? Meaning that you will always have done whatever you ask somebody else to do on your team. All right. Now, it doesn't necessarily mean you can't hire an expert, right? I'm not saying that, oh, you can't hire an expert to come in and handle something for you. But I've just always believed when it comes to training people that I'm going to have some sort of part in it, some sort of knowledge in it before I pass it off to somebody else. Okay. So, because if you don't, then how can you expect them, like what standard are you holding them to? So leading from the front and making sure that you are getting these first tasks outsourced is fairly simple, right? Because for most of us, you're starting bootstrap anyway, where you are handling all of this. When we start out, we're all handling all of this, okay? And it's easy to handle it at a low level. Remember that. The reason that when we start out we can handle all of these tasks is because we're handling them at a low level. $5,000, $10,000 a month, 20, 30. But once you start to get to like $50,000 a month and more, it starts to become too much for one person to handle and also be trying to scale the business at the same time. Okay, because the higher the volume, the more intense the tasks are here, right? Like in the beginning, all of this stuff can generally be handled by one person: social media management, order fulfillment, customer service, all these things, okay? But as you start running lots of ads and getting lots of reach, social media management can become a part-time job in and of itself, right? Graphics and videos can become a full-time job in and of itself. Order fulfillment and customer service can become their own part-time jobs or full-time jobs in and of themselves. And these are things that you can outsource, or you could hire one person that like handles all of it as a full-time thing. But the higher that you scale, you're going to start needing to have people that dedicate specific time and focus to each one of these, okay? And your goal is always going to want it to be the person at the top, right? Because you're focused on income producing activities, right? In this scenario here, these are the income producing activities up here: finding new products, launching new products, and scaling new products, right? That's an income producing activity. And these are more difficult to outsource because a lot of the VAs that are out there, you have to have a really specific process here if you're going to try to outsource this, because it's hard to outsource product research to somebody who's never actually found a winning product, right? Like to just hire somebody and say, hey, I want you to look for these types of products. That can work, but it's more difficult to train them because they don't necessarily know exactly what they're looking for if you're not giving them an exact process, right? Because they've probably never found and scaled their own winning products, okay? So media buying as well. Media buying is one that is, especially now in today's social media world, you've got to be careful trying to outsource media buying. There are so many charlatans out there and overnight experts that are basically coming in and saying, yeah, I took this Facebook ads course, pay me $5,000 a month and I'll help you scale your store, right? So you got to watch for that. Media buying is a tough one to outsource because it requires a lot of trust, and you've got to already be at a certain level to afford somebody who's good and knows what they're doing. So that's why those ones are a little bit more challenging. All right. Your team is what's going to allow you to scale while maintaining freedom in your life. That's why you want to be able to outsource as much as possible. Now, I'm talking about this in terms of outsourcing, right? Because in my opinion, it's a longer journey to start a company where you're going to have employees, okay? Employees is a whole different setup where you're hiring people, you've got to set up your legal and your taxes, and your whole structure has got to be, it requires more steps, it requires a more complex accounting system. There's a lot of things about that. We're not talking about that in this lesson, in this course, okay? I believe in the outsourced VA model. I learned that from Tim Ferriss, and I really believe it still to this day. I think that you can run and manage and operate a great business into the seven-figure level without needing to actually hire any type of employee, right? You can just work with independent contractors and have your agreements that are set up. Now, here's a look at my current team. Now, I've actually evolved a little bit from this, but I think that the reason I kept this as it is because I think that this is the model example of what, not, well, I should say the model example, but a model example of what you can try to duplicate and set up within yourself. All right. So at the top is you, okay? Strategy and vision, media buying and structure. Like I said, media buying is going to be a more difficult one to outsource. And it's great to outsource this if you can. Like if you have a brand, especially with drop shipping, right? Trying to outsource media buying if you're just doing general drop shipping is difficult. Most good media buyers are probably not going to want to work with just a general dropship store because you're not building a brand, right? You're just testing random products. And so there's no consistency in that. And media buyers don't want to work with somebody that is just randomly testing stuff. So generally, that's going to be more for when you are actually running a consistent brand and you're spending a lot in advertising per month. Okay, now it can be with drop shipping, but like if you're doing it as a drop shipper, then you probably have a really good process in place already of the types of products you're selling, how you're finding these products, how you're scaling these products, and you're probably already operating at a high level yourself and looking to bring in somebody else that you can train to do exactly what you do. Okay, so that's you at the top that's going to be handling these things. Now, it's important to remember, okay, on this note of media buying, this is a big conflict I see, in my opinion, in the online marketing world right now. You have like different types of groups, and I'm not a hater. I'm not one to disparage any other group, but what I see that I find interesting in some of these other groups is they're made up of people that are media buyers, and even within e-com empires, right? You have people that is their specific skill set. Is they run an agency where all they do is Facebook ads or Google ads or some type of advertising, and they work with established brands to do advertising for these brands. And there's a difference, okay? There's a difference between being an advertising agency and trying to build your own brand. Now, is an advertising agency a brand in and of itself? Of course, right? Like, of course, they're a brand in and of itself, and they are building a brand. But what I'm trying to say is that you as an entrepreneur, you as the CEO of your business, okay, you're going to need to make a decision at some point of what your core competency is, right? Your core competency does not have to be media buying, okay? That is something that if you are building a real brand and you're building something of value, you can hire a media buying agency, all right? And I see this a lot. There's like this argument that happens back and forth between these experts that are out here that are like these guys that spend a lot on ads, and it makes them feel somehow superior to everybody else, okay? But that's not, it doesn't have to be your focus, right? Like for me, I'm building e-com empires. Ecom Empires is quickly turning into a very big empire in and of itself, and I know it will be with the things that are happening right now with the dropship app and the print-on-demand app and some other crazy things that are coming. Right? My goal, my focus is not being the best media buyer. That's not personally where I see myself within my own business as my core competency. Now, I understand it. I can do it to a level of being able to make a very nice living, which is why I still have my own Facebook ads training in here, because I know that I can teach the average person that knows nothing or very little or has been struggling with Facebook ads how to get the, making 6 figures a month or 7 figures a year in sales with Facebook advertising, right? But it doesn't mean that I want to necessarily take it past there myself, right? My goal as an entrepreneur is not to be a media buyer. My goal as an entrepreneur is to be the CEO of a brand and be able to bring in media buyers, right? Like it's all about what you want to be, and there's nothing wrong any single way. That's the difference. I don't discriminate. Some of these other people you'll see out there will make it seem like, you can't have a conversation in e-commerce if you aren't somebody spending a certain amount of money per month. But that's ridiculous, because you can hire a media buyer, right? If you look at somebody like, let's just pick an example. Um, I'm trying to pick a relatable example, but let's just say, for example, any brand that you look at, like Nike. Okay, let's say Nike is just a really large example. I know this is like a juggernaut company, but if you look at Nike, okay, the CEO of Nike, or any of the exec board, right? Like Nike has an entire exec board, obviously. None of those people are worried about media buying. There's a media buying team within Nike, okay? It's not the CEO's job to go out and buy ads. So obviously Nike operates at a super, super high level, that's the point that I'm trying to make, okay? You do not have to be focused on that as your core competency. You just need to be good enough at it to get to a certain point, and then you can decide if that's your core competency and that's really where you want to focus, or you can decide if you want to be somebody that is like the CEO and the visionary, the founder of the company that's building big brand ideas and attracting the best to be able to work with you, right? I could go out there at any point right now and find a great media buying agency or a great media buying individual that would be willing to work with me to grow my brand. All right, and so I know I spent a few minutes talking about this concept, but I think it's really important, because the deeper you get in this e-commerce world, you're going to see this back and forth between like these expert media buyers that think that they are like doing something so special, right? When really their core competency is just media buying. And that's only one core competency of a business. So you have to decide really what your core competency is going to be, and how you plan to grow and execute that. And then from there, how do you plan to bring other people in to support you in the areas that also need to drive your business, right? Traffic is one of them. Operations is one of them. Vision is one of them. There's multiple things that are going to need to come together, okay? So anyway, that's enough for being at the top and what that means. Other things that you want to have, all right? So product research, importing product descriptions. This is the life of a dropshipping or print-on-demand business, okay? You are bringing in new product ideas once you have a product idea. So the way that this worked here with my team is had two guys that were okay, so it was one guy really, it was two people, but the one guy was using the software to go find product ideas and then putting all these ideas every day onto a Google Sheet. All right. Then I would go through the Google Sheet. I would look at it and say, okay, I like this one. I like this one. I don't like the rest of them. The ones that are approved, they would then get passed down to the graphics and video team. Now, what we did is we had outsourced to a video marketing agency, right, that was producing us videos for like $10 each for testing. Okay. So it would get passed to them. They would make the video. All right, now that video would get passed back to the product research team and then get shared with the other guy, or actually, I'm sorry, with the girl, right? It was a guy and a girl, so it would get shared with the girl who was in charge of importing the product to the store and creating the product description. So she would see this video to see the direction that we were going with it, then she would create a product description around it and get it on the store ready to go. I would be notified, I would get the video, and then I would launch the ad on Facebook to test it, okay? That was the basic structure, the basic team of what we're doing. And all of these here, product research, graphics and video, can all be outsourced. And that's what I did, right? And then finally, down at this level, you have customer service and order fulfillment. So a VA team that can scale with me, social media management, same thing. So I work within a VA agency, right, where you can bring in multiple people. What I mean by scale with me is, I mean, as the company or the business grows, it's not hard for me to go just say, hey, I need another VA and get them trained and have them ready. For a print-on-demand store, keep in mind that you're going to need a graphic designer or a graphic design team. I've worked with both. So the graphic designer was based on a profit share based on designs, but then also worked with a design team out of the Philippines now that gets me designs produced at a really affordable rate. And that's all stuff that I cover in the print-on-demand module anyway. So breaking some of these down a little bit more, we already talked about some of this in the last lesson, but order fulfillment, social media management, customer service. These are all things that can go basically as soon as you get to the point that you can afford it, all right? I would say that you want to have customer service and start getting some of these things covered when you get to the 50 orders plus a day range, okay? Again, order fulfillment is different if you're using WIO, but it's still nice to have somebody who's going in and looking at your orders every day and kind of making sure that there are no flaws, no errors, that tracking is working and everything is good. Social media management, we talked about, it's moderating comments or running ads. So in the customer service section, we talked about the different types of comments you're going to see and having somebody that goes in and responds to those comments every day. With product links or, answering questions. Sorry about that. Answering questions or responding to negative comments. Social media management can also consist of content for fan pages and then as well responding to messages directly in the fan page messenger. Customer service grows, we talked about this. Customer service will grow as your order count grows. Have a KPI. Expect about 10 to 30% of customers to look for order up-to-dates and be prepared as you grow and have somebody ready constantly to make sure your customer service is covered. Now, here's an example of an advanced business team. All right. This is credit Ezra Firestone from something within his organization, and you can see and this is not the level that I am at yet with my organization, but I'm somewhere in between this and this now. All right, but for me, I don't have employees like he does. You can see he's got multiple employees. Now he's the CEO, right? So this is important to understand, I think. Really important because Ezra does he is involved in the advertising for his company. But as you can see, he has a chief marketing officer, right? So having a chief marketing officer means he's not handling it all himself, okay? His core competency is as the chief executive officer, all right? Then he also has a chief technology officer. He has a chief financial officer. There is a chief strategy officer, a chief operating officer, right? So he's operating and managing this business with an entire board of executives, okay? And then under that, there's even teams for each one of these breakdowns, okay? So there's a director of content marketing, There's a development team. There's two different people. There's a development team here, and then there's a WordPress developer and even a lead developer. Okay, so they have 3 developers on their team. Project manager for his apps, right? Director of brand engagement. Over here, they have their social media team. There's a team lead and then 1 person on the team. They have their entire support team, right? So there's a team lead and then 6 people on the support team for their Boom by Cindy Joseph. And then they have down here, this is a split really, okay? Because there's like the Boom by Cindy Joseph. There's the full marketing of what he does with Smart Marketer. Then there's the Zipify and the apps, I think, is what a lot of this pertains to. So there's a lead copywriter with 2 people on the copywriting team. There's a lead designer, and then there is a customer support team for the apps as well. So this is a big structure, right? Now with me, okay, with me, I am, like I said, not working with a board of executives having all these different chiefs that are reporting directly to me. But for me, it's partnered in, right? So like I would have a level of separation here with, say, a level of separation here with Motif, okay? And Motif is the company that I'm building the Merch Hero app with. So there's a layer of separation there with Motif, and then Motif, within that, there's a development team, right? So there's a lead developer and then an entire development team of like 10 people, and then there's a chief operations and management, and then, you know, like all of these different things, customer support, account managers, the board of executives. There's a lot of different operations happening, and the layer of separation for me is partnering with Motif, right? And so no matter what, the strategy is that you're staying in the middle, right? That's the strategy I'm teaching here, is that you are staying in the middle of it and you are finding your core competency, and then you are building a team around that as an entrepreneur, okay? Keep yourself at the top and start outsourcing the parts of your business that you don't want to be involved. Now, when you're outsourcing, you need to be asking the right questions to get to know people in this hiring process, all right? And the right questions, in my opinion, are not only pertained to somebody's skills and talents, because a lot of times you can see that in their resume and what they give you as like their work experience. You need to ask the types of questions to make sure this person is going to fit within the culture of what kind of company you're trying to run. Are they going to fit within the expectations of your standards that you keep, right? The core values that you expect people to adhere to. You want to have a conversation and make sure you're going to get along, okay? Then you can create training videos to train people remotely, right? This is what I've always done. You learn it first and then you teach it, okay? And again, this is operating at a lower level. I'm not talking about like, you know, recording a video to train your CFO. Obviously, you hire somebody that's qualified to be a CFO and they do what they do, right? I'm talking about at a level of like, say you're getting ready to hire your first customer support person. You record yourself going through the process of the customer support. You write down and create all the templates, and then you bring them in and you teach them how to use it. You show them how it was done in the video. You make sure they don't have any questions afterwards, and then you let them go through on a trial run, correcting them as they do it, and then you know, kind of like move them into the process, right? Document your systems and processes. That's what this is all about. You want to create as many templates as possible as you can for everything, and then you want to document your systems and processes. This is generally called an SOP, okay? Standard operating procedure. And that's just a fancy term for basically writing your process down step by step. All right, so like, for example, creating a store. You write your process down step by step that you go through from brand new, getting that store, creating that domain, and then setting up your pages, and then adding your products, right? Like, you create it and you write it all down. Simple. The idea with a system or a standard operating procedure is that as long as you are hiring somebody with the right qualities and the right experience, you can hand them this SOP and they will be able to go execute. right? That's the idea of an SOP, because it makes it so that if you lose somebody in your business, you can simply replace them with somebody that's qualified, and they'll be able to pick up without any real slack, because everything has already been recorded and a procedure that works the same way every time. Make sure you set clear expectations with the people that you hire from the very beginning, okay? Letting them know what you expect and what happens if those expectations are not met. And also letting them know, like in what, for example, with customer service, you have to let somebody know in what timeline you expect them to respond to emails, right? So if your goal is to have all emails answered within 24 hours, then you need to let them know from the beginning, hey, listen, this is our goal. All emails will be answered within 24 hours. If you ever feel like you are overloaded to the point that you can't get to all the emails within that time period, then you need to come let me know right away. Because then we're going to have to bring somebody else in. And if you're not letting me know and we're not getting all of these emails done, then we're going to have a talk about what needs to happen, right? So that's a clear expectation. Having performance indicators like we talked about, or I don't know if we did talk about performance indicators basically, and that, like, so for emails, your performance indicator would be how many of the daily emails were responded to within 24 hours. Is it 100%? Is it 50%, 75%, right? Like, it's a performance indicator to let them know how they're doing. Having a clear vision for your brand and your team, for sure, you want to make sure they feel part of the team, right? Even if it's just a VA, right? You want to treat them as if they are an important part of your team, and have a vision that includes them. Then not everybody's going to stick with you, and that's fine. They don't have to. But you want to have a vision that includes them in case they do want to stick with you. And then, of course, following tasks closely while people are starting, so you can let them know if they're doing mistakes and how they can do it better. Team communication software that I like is Slack. Slack is really simple. It lets you set up multiple channels that you can name for the different channels that you need in your business, and then have different team members join different channels and have ongoing conversations. Now, I want to talk about creating systems and processes, all right, a little bit more specifically, because creating systems and processes is at the very foundation of not only any business, but certainly your team operations. These are not necessarily the only three things, but I think that I have these three principles here because these will create consistency and sustainability in any business if you're mastering these three principles, all right? So, number one, don't scale quicker than you can support. Number two, build a solid infrastructure to grow with. Number three, create systems and processes. So scaling at a sustainable rate of growth. This is basically the idea that you don't want to grow faster than you can support, because with paid advertising on social media, it is possible to scale very quickly. You could have a campaign. I mean, it's still like this. It's not quite as crazy, but it used to be, and still kind of is, that you could have a winning campaign, and with a 2 to 3 week delivery time from AliExpress, you could literally be scaling that campaign and selling hundreds of orders a day before the first one even got delivered. Right? That's scaling at an unsustainable rate of growth. All right, and I know multiple examples like this. I know one example. I'll change the numbers just a little bit so that it's creating anonymity. This person within Q4, which is a great time for e-commerce in Q4 because the buying rate is in a frenzy. It's much higher. So within Q4, this person sold nearly $1 million worth of items, right? Fantastic. But what happened is they had major supply issues, and that ended up resulting in poor quality items. It ended up receiving in a massive overload of customer service that they couldn't handle. It ended up in logistics problems, and the repercussions that this caused was a lot of angry customers, a very confused business owner on what to do to stay focused, and a massive loss of money, of processors, of Facebook page and Facebook ad accounts, right? Like all the money that was made was basically lost immediately, because of major mistakes, right? So you want to be able to scale at a sustainable rate of growth. It's very cool to be able to scale ads quickly and make a lot of money. And I'm not saying that you shouldn't scale as much as you can, but the point is that if you're scaling quicker than you can actually support and sustain, there's a good chance that you're just going to end up, it's all going to crumble underneath you. So scale at a sustainable rate of growth. Build a solid infrastructure to grow. All right, so as you're scaling, you should be building a foundation around you so that you know you're going to be more sustainable. Okay, so what does this mean? Getting your operations in order, fulfillment, customer service, money management, suppliers. Okay, these business models with dropshipping and print on demand, it's really the same thing at any level in terms of how it functions and how it works, right? The difference is the higher you go, the more people you need involved to sustain at that higher volume, okay? So for example, with product research, right? If you're running a dropship store that is looking for product ideas, or even a print on demand store where you need to get new product ideas in there a lot. All right. At the very high level, you just need more people, more qualified people doing product research for you. If you're ordering and fulfilling a lot more orders, you need more people that are working to help on the logistics side, right? If you're getting all these customer service inquiries, you're getting phone calls, you're getting chats, you're getting emails, you need more people to be able to help manage all of these customer service tasks, okay? So that infrastructure is something you want to build as you go. It's kind of like taking a step up and then paving the step after you, right? So you're constantly making sure that you can build around yourself and create consistency there. And then finally, creating systems and processes. Once you start building a team, everything is about having a system. A system is an overall approach to your entire business that keeps things moving from piece to piece without pause, like gears in a wheel, okay? Each part of the system has a process, right? So processes equal systems, and then all your systems should function together as a business. That way you have no weak links in the chain, all right? So everything like your customer service VA and answering emails is a process, right? Your social media management VA and responding to comments is a process. And as far as the process goes, it should be done the same exact way every time. All of these processes add up into a system of having a good customer service support team, okay? So we talked about already, you want to put this down in writing, right? Create a standard operating procedure, have it all written down, use Google Docs or, Google Drive to just store all of these, store like this information together and then share it with new people as you bring them onto your team. The goal here is to create something that any qualified person could come step into. All you have to do is give them the training material and they're able to pick up on it. Areas you can start processes or creating processes right now: customer service, product research, and testing products. And finally, where to find good members. All right, this is a Ecom Empire's exclusive partnership with FreeUp, and they are in, you can see right here, they're the best marketplace for pre-vetted e-commerce freelancers. So what I like FreeUp is that they only work with pre-vetted e-commerce freelancers. They back up their work and anybody that is on their platform, and they have a wide range of people that you can choose from for different skill sets, okay? So plus when you sign up with Ecom Empires, you can get $25, a $25 discount towards your first hire, right? Since you pay by the hour. So that's the link there, freeup.com. It's 3 E's, right? freeup.com/Ecom Empires, and you could get signed up for a free account with FreeUp. All right, that's everything in this video. Thank you for watching. I hope you got a lot of really good, valuable insights out of this video here, and I will see you in the next one.